Year two of the Hugh Freeze era is just around the corner. What are the three biggest what-ifs for Auburn football in the 2024 season? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. Guys, go to SeatGeek.com. Use promo code SECU at checkout to get $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's our friends over at SeatGeek. Promo code SECU to get $20 off today. Kickoff for the 2024 season is rapidly approaching, and the expectations, they are sky high on the Plains. After an up and down year one that saw Auburn at times go toe-to-toe with the best teams in college football, and at others, the ugly got really ugly. Fans have high expectations of Hugh Freeze and this football team in year two of his tenure. What are the three biggest what-ifs for Auburn football this season? Three things that one way or the other, hypothetical situations that really, guys, could swing the Tigers' 2024 season and completely change the way we look at year two of the Hugh Freeze era. Guys, we start with my first, and you look at the offensive side of the football. Payton Thorne returning at quarterback, but there's a lot of reason for optimism and hope and excitement. And one name that has continued to come up time and time and time again. Folks have gone as far to say he might be at the end of his career to be one of the very best, if not the very best at his respective position to ever wear the Auburn jersey. And that is Cam Coleman at the wide receiver position. Guys, my first what if for Auburn is this. What if Cam Coleman is as good as advertised? And guys, even if he's only 75% of what he's been advertised as, he's going to be one of the best players at the wide receiver position in the SEC. Because, guys, Auburn folks have gone as far as to tell me he's going to be the best to ever wear the jersey at wide receiver in the history of Auburn football. There are people talking about he could win the Biletnikoff in his first season on the Plains. Now, I think keeping expectations realistic for a young guy like this who's still learning on the go, he's going to be taking his first collegiate snap when the season opener comes around in a few months. But make no mistake, this kid is as talented as any in college football. And guys, we talk about the offense, and I feel like that's where the biggest question marks for this Auburn football team lie, especially in the passing game. Guys, this was the worst passing game in the SEC a season ago. And I understand it's got a lot more to do with than just the wide receiver position, right? Payton Thorne, your quarterback, has to hold up to his end of the bargain. But you add these wide receivers that you have, either via the transfer portal or from the recruiting class, and Cam Coleman's leading the way. And guys, we saw what he did in the spring game. And I know it's just a spring game, but I think there's going to be even more of that. I think he's going to be as explosive as certainly any freshman in the SEC, but maybe as any wide receiver in the SEC. And by all accounts, guys, we don't know until we see it on the field. We don't know until it happens. But this kid looks for real. I mean, this dude looks absolutely for real. Every bit of the part of the stud that we've heard he's going to be. So what if Cam Coleman, guys, what if he's as good as advertised? What if Cam Coleman is that dude on the Auburn offense? What if he is this threat at the wide receiver position that we've all been hearing about? This speedster, this burner down the field, has great size, runs great routes, great with the football in his hands, just can do it all at the wide receiver spot. What if he's as good as advertised? And again, guys, even if he's only 75 or 80% of what he's been advertised, the advertisement has been so lucrative, guys. That would still be one of the best receivers in the SEC, in my opinion. Certainly a breakout player as a freshman and someone who could help this offense overachieve every single preseason expectation of them. Guys, my second biggest what if for Auburn football this season, and we mentioned the quarterback position, and you have to go back there. As kickoff gets closer, this is one of the biggest storylines surrounding Auburn, and I've seen projections of 7-5, 8-4, maybe even 9-3. Can Auburn be one of those teams that maybe they're not making the college football playoff? That might be a little aggressive in year two with Hugh Freeze, but maybe, just maybe, we get to November, we're talking about the Auburn Tigers as, wow, if something clicks one way or another, this is a team, they're knocking on the door. They're close. You can see it. Auburn football took this major jump, took this major step forward in year 2 of Hugh Freeze. If that's going to happen, guys, it has to be because Payton Thorne took a major step forward. But what if he doesn't? What if Payton Thorne's struggles continue? What's that going to mean, not just for this year's team? I don't know if there's enough talent on this team to overcome it. Yes, you have Jarquez Hunter running the football. You're going to run the football a lot. And I'm not saying Payton Thorne was all bad, guys. And I know a lot of people last year will look and say it wasn't all the quarterback's fault. The offensive line's got to be better. He's got to get more help on the outside. He's got to get more help in general. But there were times, and you saw it, when Payton Thorne went up against elite defenses, he shut down. He just was not there. The inconsistency was the thing that I think drove people batty. There were moments, he had his moments. He looked great. There were other moments, dude did not look like he belonged on the football field. What if Payton Thorne's struggles continue? What if Payton Thorne is who he is? What if? What does that mean for the team this year? What does that mean for the perception of Hugh Freeze? Because Hugh Freeze was someone, he was very adamant about this over the course of the offseason. Hey, we didn't see any quarterbacks we like. We don't want to take another quarterback. And I know you can say, well, he knows they're more than a quarterback away. But getting the right guy under center, there's a big difference between 6 wins and 8 wins and 9 wins, etc. So, sure, you're more than a quarterback away, but if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. And if Payton Thorne is more of the same of what he was last year, Auburn ain't got a chance to take a step forward in year 2 of Hugh Freeze. And that's going to be, again, it's going to be one of those things where not just what does it mean for this year's team, but what does this mean for Hugh Freeze and the pressures on him? Because Auburn's not a place you get 5, 6, 7 years to figure it out. You go 6-6 again, or God forbid miss a bowl game, and Payton Thorne's not good, and that decision to stick with him and stick by his side blows up in your face. All of a sudden, guys, the pressures that Hugh Freeze will be facing, the seat could be warming going into year 3. So what if, just what if Payton Thorne struggles from a year ago? What if they continue? And finally, guys, you look at Auburn's schedule. This sets up pretty fun. This is pretty fun, guys. Sets up pretty well, right? You look at the schedule, and there is a chance for some early momentum to be built. You got a couple non-conference games, right? You open up SEC play. I believe it's the Oklahoma game is the SEC opener. That's a huge one, welcoming them to Jordan-Hare. Guys, what if you're 5-0 going into the matchup against Georgia? What if? What if Auburn is sitting there at 5-0 going between the hedges? And going between the hedges to take on a Georgia team that made you their homecoming game. There's already a lot of juice in that one. There's already a lot of hatred. There's already a lot of bad feelings on the Auburn side. But what if you got some momentum to play with? What if you for real are going in there all-time high confidence, things are clicking offensively, Payton Thorne's playing well, the defense is making big plays? I mean, what if Auburn's 5-0? Auburn's been sort of a fun story in the offseason, guys, but there are other teams we're talking about. Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee, LSU. Those have been kind of the headline stealers, and Auburn's just kind of right there in the middle. It's like, they could go 8-4, they could go 9-3, they could go 6-6, they could go 5-7. It kind of is a reflection of year 1 of Hugh Freeze. Well, I mean, at their best, they were good enough to potentially beat Georgia, should have beat Alabama, but at their worst, it was really ugly. New Mexico State, ring a bell, the bowl game against Maryland. So we just don't know. We just don't know. But what if Auburn gets hot early, builds some momentum, and they're 5-0 going into the matchup against Georgia? Can you imagine the storylines, the headlines, the hype for that football game? And yes, Georgia will be a favorite, but you and I both watched the game last year, and I know it was at Jordan-Hare. It's a different beast going between the hedges. But I'm just saying, don't let Auburn get hot. Don't let them get rolling, because that would be a dangerous Auburn team, especially coming in for a homecoming. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So, again, guys, my 3 biggest what-ifs for the Auburn Tigers this season in year 2 of Hugh Freeze. Number 1, what if Cam Coleman's as good as advertised? Number 2, what if Payton Thorne's struggles continue? And number 3, what if Auburn's 5-0 going into the matchup against the Georgia Bulldogs? Guys, that's going to do all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.